Are the Tennessee Titans and Ran Carthon looking at potentially trading down? Well, the rumors are starting to heat back up on this topic. So here on Titans Today by Chat Sports, we're going to give you 3 different trade options that I have seen floating around that could potentially work. Once again, we appreciate you watching right here on Titans Today. I'm your host, Jace Andrews. And before we get into the show, I'm going to ask you point blank straight up. Would you like the Titans to trade down in the draft? Type Y for yes if you think that would be a good idea. If you do not want them to trade down, well, then type in for no. Off the top of the show, let me know down in the comments section. All right, trade down rumors. Now, we've heard a lot about this since Ran Carthon spoke at the NFL Combine, and without saying it, he said, I'm going to listen to all offers. He said that, quote, basically, I would be dumb to not listen to offers, and we're comfortable where we're at, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to potentially move around. So I think since then we've seen a lot of different things come into the plate, and now we're less than 4 weeks away from draft night being commenced in Detroit. And so I think it's important to talk about these and bring up 3 different ideas and some that I think would be very, very logical to experiment and talk about. The first one is the one that we have seen a bunch, and that's with the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, they currently hold the number 13 pick in this year's draft. Obviously, the Titans hold number 7. So for trade idea number 1, here is what I have cooked up and what I've seen kind of floating around Titans social media. The Titans would give up their number 7 overall pick in the first round. In return, though, they would get 2 picks, including round 1 at pick 13 and round 2 pick 44. So they would basically add an extra draft pick in the second round to move down, not too much, 6 picks. So I think overall that would be a very good thing for the Titans. And to me, this is probably the most likely scenario just because the Raiders have already shown interest in wanting to trade up. And given the situation with J.J. McCarthy being that number 4 quarterback that is coveted by both the Minnesota Vikings and the Raiders, it kind of just depends to who will give the better offer if the Titans are willing to trade down. Now, obviously, there's teams before the Titans that could maybe give up a better offer with the Giants and the Chargers, but there's a lot of different speculations going on right now about what exactly the Titans would do. Now, I think the main question to me is it worth it for the Titans to trade down? I think that's the question that we're all asking right now as we sit here and think about about 3 weeks, a little bit longer than 3 weeks from draft night. Is it worth it? And I honestly am not really certain at this moment. I kind of want to break down this by a player perspective, as obviously offensive line is such a huge key in the offensive tackles in this year's draft. Well, they're solid. I think this is one of the better offensive tackle drafts we've seen in quite some time. Joe Alt obviously being the number 1 guy there. Olufushanu, Talisi Fuaga, Troy Fatanu, and J.C. Latham. Fuaga is honestly really, really good, and I think he could potentially be one that would be there at 13, but I don't see Olu or Alt being there. I mentioned Fuaga, though, a couple times on this channel. In fact, he's always been my number 3 guy, and I wouldn't really mind having him. Now, that being said, I think there is a big drop-off from Alt and maybe Olu a little bit just because I think he's getting a little bit underranked. This guy was a first-round draft level last year and then ended up going back, and now he's on some mock drafts the 3rd best, 4th best tackle available. It just kind of doesn't make sense to me, but I think there's a clear drop-off from Alt to Olu, and then Fuaga, I think, is, again, just drop-off to each and every single one. Now, that being said, this is also a very good wide receiver draft class, and I know I've mentioned it a couple times, but wide receiver is still not yet finished to me. I think that it's great that they have DeAndre Hopkins. I think, obviously, Calvin Ridley was a great, great addition, and for the price, hopefully it is worth it. But I don't think they are clear after that because there's certain people in the back half that I don't really trust. Traylon Burks, Nick Westbury-Kine, Kyle Phillips. I don't know. So what about just drafting a wide receiver in round 1, considering there was a plethora of top-tier wide receivers in this draft? There's also a potential to get the tight end in Brock Bowers as well. Now, Brock, obviously not a wide receiver, but a receiving tight end that would really, really change the game. If Marvin Harrison falls to 7, there's no doubt in my mind you take him. Malik Nabers, I think you take him as well. I think after that, it kind of depends. Alt and Nabers are the 2 choices that the Titans may end up having to make if they're there at number 7. Which one do they want? But if you're trading back, Odunze, Bowers, Brian Thomas Jr., all could be good. The thing is, I think Rome and Malik probably will not be there at 13. I honestly think Brock Bowers could potentially not be there as well. So what you're doing is you're potentially making your options if you trade back Fuaga or Brian Thomas Jr. And I think you're probably going to go Talisi. So that's just my mindset on it. Again, is it worth it, though, is the whole thing that Brian Callahan and Ran Carthon are both going to have to discuss and really weigh out the options of. If that is the way they go, I truly don't see it happening until draft night, just because that is when they'll kind of get a better sense of what exactly is going on in the first couple picks of the draft. All right, let's go with this second trade idea, as the Minnesota Vikings could definitely be an option at the second time. So I'm going to give you that trade and kind of what that would look like. Again, talked about how they would like J.J. McCarthy as well. So we'll tell you all about that trade and maybe a potential of how this one would be even better than the Las Vegas Raiders trade. But before that, got to tell you about one of our amazing sponsors in Game Time. And you shouldn't have to worry about buying tickets to the next big event in your area. And guess what? Game Time has you covered with fast and easy ways to buy tickets for all types of events, including sports, music, comedy, and theater. Plus, their app is super user-friendly, and they have killer last-minute deals. They've got flash deals and even zone deals where you pick a section, you're going to get about an average of 18% of savings. The Preds coming down to the wire here. They got the Bruins in town this week. Go check it out. The Bruins, a top team. It's going to be a good game, so I'm making sure, go check it out. Lots of seats still available. You see those yellow flash marks. Those are flash sales. Go in there. Go check it out. Plus, you can get $20 off your first purchase with code CHATSPORTS. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to download the Game Time app. You're going to go to the redeem code section and use that code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code is CHATSPORTS for $20 off. I'm telling you, they got all-in prices. They've got views from your seat, and their app is super amazing. So download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets at the lowest price, guaranteed. Let's go to the second potential trade that I could see fit for both teams, and that's with the Minnesota Vikings. The Titans would acquire 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick in exchange for their first and their second-round pick. Obviously, with the Vikings trading for the Texans' first-round pick, they now have 2 in this year's first. So you're going to get 2 in the first, although you're giving up your first and second, and you are getting a third in next year's draft, which is good because you traded that third-round pick to the Chiefs. So right now, you are without a third-round pick in 2025. I think there's more value in this trade off the bat. I think overall it's a better one to consider just because you have 2 picks in the first round instead of getting an extra second-round pick. I think that overall, though, this is going to be one that will be interesting to see. The Vikings may not be wanting to trade both those. In my mind, this is why they acquired that pick. And I think this is why the trade is better in general, because you're not going to be able to have the 13th pick. You're going to have the 11th pick on top of having the number 23 overall pick. And I think there's a potential for Malik Nabers to still be there at 11. There's a potential for Brock Bowers to still be there at 11. Rome Odunze could still be there at 11. There's a potential Olu Fashanu could still be there at 11. And again, you're getting more value as a total because you're going to be able to get, guess what, 11 and 23. So that'd be one that I would really be interested to see if the Titans would be able to acquire. All right, I got one last trade option for you. And this one is one that includes a player. And it's somebody that me and you, at least in my mind, we all wanted about a month or so ago. Unfortunately, it did not happen because of, well, other circumstances. You'll know who it is right when I show you the team because it's the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, there is a player that I would want, and that is Tee Higgins, the wide receiver. You would acquire him and pick number 18 for round 1, pick 7. So in theory, this is, in my mind, you're getting a first-round pick. Now, again, you would have to pay him as he is on the franchise tag, so be a similar situation, tag and trade to what you had to do with the Kansas City Chiefs and L'Jarius Sneed. But I think this would be very, very good. It's something I could certainly get behind just because I love Tee Higgins. I think he is a very, very good athlete, and in a way, you can still get a very good offensive tackle at pick number 18, and your first-round wide receiver is effectively Tee Higgins. This guy has been an amazing, amazing receiver since he has entered the league. This past year, even with injuries, still had over 650 yards, 5 touchdowns, and it was very obvious that whenever Jamar Chase was not there on the field with him, he was the clear wide receiver number 1, and he showed off his speed, his skills, and everything. And it's not just this year. the past 4 years, his entire career in the NFL, he's been a menace to society. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons in 2021 and 2022. Was just shy of it in 2020. Obviously, health issues caused some trouble this year, but, I mean, you just look at this guy as a whole. He is amazing. That being said, I will say, I highly doubt this happens for one simple reason. Ridley, D-Hop, and Tee Higgins would be so much fun to see play together. But you just spent a lot of money on a wide receiver for the next 4 years. Given you would have to go and then sign Tee Higgins after trading him, you're probably going to want a 3-year contract with him. Yes, it would set you up for success in the long run, but that's a lot of money to spend on top-tier wide receivers when you have DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley this year. Now, am I saying that it's not going to happen? Not at all. But I think if you're ranking the likelihood of it, that is certainly the least likely of the 3. All right, let's go back through these 3 drafts real quick, just to get you a refresher, because I want to ask your opinion on which one you would take here in just a couple of moments. All right, so with the Raiders, you're trading round 1, pick 7, getting round 1, pick 13, and round 2, pick 44 in this year's draft, all of those picks. Potential trade number 2 with the Minnesota Vikings, you're giving up round 7 and your second-round pick, pick number 38, to get 2024 first-round picks 11 and 23, along with getting back in the 3rd round in 2025 with the Vikings pick in this trade. And then the most recent one that we talked about, the potential trade number 3, Tee Higgins being sent to Tennessee, along with the Bengals number 18 overall pick in the 2024 first round. And then you're sending number 7 to the Cincinnati Bengals. So with all those kind of refreshed in your mind, which trade would you rather see happen? If you like the Raiders trade, where you're going to get that upgraded first-round pick and another second-round pick, then type 1. The Vikings trade, where you're getting more value, type 2. If you want a player in Tee Higgins, then type 3. Get down in the comment section and let me know which one of these trades you see best fit and would like happening for the Tennessee Titans. I trust Rand either way. I mean, let's just let Rand cook here. Let's be honest. This guy has been absolutely melting everything this offseason. I love what he's been doing. Calvin Ridley was a great sign. Tony Pollard looks like he's going to be solid. Rand knows what he's doing. This is his 2nd year. His draft last year was pretty solid. I think he's going to have another one this year. You just got to trust him. And that's what I'm going to do. And hopefully, they make some moves. We appreciate you watching here on Titans Today. If you're not subscribed already, then what are you doing? Because if you ain't subscribed, you ain't alive. We got Titans news, rumors, updates, and pretty much everything related to the Tennessee Titans. So hit that subscribe button. But for now, tighten up and peace out.